welcome to the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show. Got a pretty good show lined up this week. Got myself, Kelly Patrick. We got Tyler Bloyd. How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing great now that I just heard you pull a little Michael Buffer out on me.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'm the newer, more improved Michael Buffer. We also got Matt over there. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well, and I have to agree. I'm awful cheery after that introduction. It made things great for us. It kind of pumped us up and ready to go.
I didn't know it was coming.
I didn't either. I like to mix things up.
You do.
Usually, we just go straight into the news, but I like the thought there.
I'm not messing around tonight, guys.
Last week was a piss poor show. This week is a whole lot different.
This show is going to knock your socks off.
Whoa.
Got some good stuff to cover tonight. We will try to minimize, but we will address the very disturbing story out of Pennsylvania involving
cornhole,
the Penn State football program. And
Tyler makes a joke of it.
That's great. That is just great.
I had to.
That is just
sitting on it all week waiting.
You didn't have to.
I mean, I was going to go with I may Sandusky somebody during softball joke, but all right. All jokes aside, it's a terrible story at Penn State. If anybody hasn't heard in the sports world or in just news in general, because it's everywhere.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I just heard, and I'll be honest, I heard it on Bob Valvano's show. I think he had Will Wolford on there with him, and he was talking about the most recent allegations that there was actually even Sandusky, through his youth organization to help troubled youth, young boys, was actually, in effect, pimping out the young boys to other boosters who had similar interests as Sandusky. And, I mean, if that doesn't put this Sandusky guy up there with Hitler or any of the other truly evil, just horrible people in the history of humanity, where he can straight-face look at parents of these children and have them involved in saying that he's helping them, and he is passing, in some cases, 7, 8, 10-year-old boys on to other adult males for the purposes of inappropriate activities. I mean, that's just as bad as it gets. I made the point earlier to both Tyler and Matt. What's that?
But how does that even happen? How do you? I mean, there must be a lot more of these people than you actually think. Because in the same organization, how do you get multiple people that are willing to do something like that?
I mean, if I were into that, how would I bring that up? I see where you're coming from. If I were into that, how would I say, hey, Tyler, Matt?
I'd punch you in the face.
You guys like to occasionally molest little boys. And then, I mean, I don't know. How would you even find other people? I guess there is NAMBLA.
Are you saying how do you pimp out little boys to others?
How do you network for that? How do you do that?
You can't Facebook it. But I don't know. That's honestly, I'm trying to make this
That's what makes this story so unreal.
There is an organization, NAMBLA. I think it's North American Man-Boy Love Association, something like that. Maybe they had met through there, and they'd all.
Is that a joke, or are you dead serious?
No, they said it on South Park, so I imagine it's got to be.
You're right. You're right. I heard.
I'll be honest. I after the South Park episode, I actually looked for their site. NAMBLA is an actual organization where people who just believe with all their heart that men should be able to have sexual relations with young boys.
And now you're on the FBI's watch list for going to that website.
I'm fine with it.
I'm looking right now.
No, it's a real site, and it's very disturbing. I guess there's a certain percentage of people across the world who think that that's just a natural way of living, certain cultures. Actually, in one of my college classes, I think it was sexual deviance I took. I did learn a little bit about that there are people who feel that, certain percentage of young boys it's okay for them that they willingly have sex with older men. And it's got to be the most disturbing topic, and it's got to evoke the most hatred and anger from the average red-blooded American sports fan out of anything. I mean,
just the average American, sports fan or not.
Yeah. I would say more so the testosterone-driven sports fan that will just straight up kick somebody's ass just for the thought of it. I mean, it is a bad mix. I was saying that I don't watch the local news, especially lately. I turned on the news today, and sure enough, another case of a of a stepfather abusing a 13-month-old little girl. She's in critical condition now. So, I mean, I hate seeing stuff like that. I hate hearing horrible stories. Now, thanks to Sandusky, when you turn on ESPN, that's all you can see.
That name just pisses me off.
It's Ohio.
You're right. NAMBLA, North American Man-Boy Love Association, is real. Everybody thinks it's false because of South Park. They thought it was just a little thing that they put together for a great skit. It is real. It's mostly guys over 30 that basically think they can take advantage of little boys and look back. They look back at like ancient evidence of why they should be able to do this, which is pretty crazy to me.
Please close that window because
very crazy.
Now that I'm on the FBI's list.
What window? You want this window closed?
Yes.
It's UrbanDictionary.com.
I mean, there's no way around it. It's as disturbing of a story as I've literally heard on any level. I think that Charles Manson's a better person than Jerry Sandusky. Or, Ted Bundy.
They didn't mess with little boys.
Well, I mean, that's true, but
somebody that can't stop something. I mean, granted.
And they ruin their whole lives. I mean,
I think they're just,
that what they do to them psychologically down the road, and a very high suicide rate, and it's just they feel that they have some guilt for the situation, when in reality they really didn't have much say in it at all, and any relationship that they have down the road is just affected. Their emotions on every level is just thrown off. I heard Heath Evans, former fullback for both the Saints and the Patriots, played football for Auburn, talking about it earlier today on Jim Rome's show, I believe. He has an organization. I guess his wife was the victim of being abused, sexually abused when she was little. And to hear the passion in that guy's voice, he's very passionate about it.
One of many.
Yeah, he was spitting all sorts of statistics out that 1 in 6 women who are under the age of 16 have been sexually abused.
Yeah,
just very disturbing stuff. Not necessarily what we need to talk about all night.
Yeah, just we're not going to much longer on it. I think you said you were listening to another show when you were on the way here, and you heard something on the line of somebody took this to the cops at one point because their little boy came home with wet hair, asked why it's wet or something at that point, and she said she took a shower with he was taking a shower with Sandusky, and they didn't do anything about it. Was that right?
What I heard is that the boy said that to his mom, I was taking a shower with Mr. Sandusky. She then called the police, like of course she should, and the police officer in this college town, confronted Sandusky and said, you have to promise you're not going to take showers with young boys anymore. Sandusky originally said, I can't make that promise. Like there was nothing wrong with it, kind of like the Michael Jackson stuff. But eventually, the police officer said, do you want to go to jail? Ended up pressing some serious consequences on him, and he said, you know what, I'm sorry. I really regret doing that. I wish I was dead. And that was in 98. And so in 99, he retires at the ripe age of 55 for some unknown reason, which now looks all the more clear as to why he probably did retire.
Yeah, but he's been around campus, on a regular basis.
Part of his retirement package was that he had a permanent office and access to the weightlifting facilities and the entire university, the showers.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just horrible.
Let's just go ahead and go off. Let's get off this subject. Everybody's heard it. It's annoying. It's like the NFL labor talk when it was all around. It's like the NBA. I'm already
realignment.
Yeah, conference realignment. It's just one of those things I'm tired of already hearing. Let's just hope they all go down with some shame.
It makes me skeptical of everybody. I mean, it makes you think what percentage of the average guy you run into in the street is doing this type of stuff. I mean, it's very disturbing.
Yeah,
I agree. So let's move on.
We have a great way to move on would be to get a limo and get out, right?
Get out. You're sick of the Penn State talk. You want to have a nice weekend in Mexico. Get yourself a limo. Have it drive you to the airport.
Wow.
And get the ultimate Mexican getaway.
$289 4 night, 2 bedrooms in Mexico? That's got to be 50% off from LouisvilleBigDeals.com.
LouisvilleBigDeals.com will help you get away from all this disgusting Penn State mess.
It will. I've been to Mexico and they don't talk about sports. It's strictly soccer.
It is a sport.
So, but yeah, it is. So, anyways, get on LouisvilleBigDeals.com. It's 50% off everything around the Louisville area, southern Indiana. You got great food on there, BDs. You got B-Dubs, fan favorite. You get, like we said, get a limo for 50% off to go out to Bardstown Road or 4th Street. Everything, just why go out without checking it out? Save yourself some money. It's tough times. You got the holidays coming up. Everybody needs that extra cash. So again, it's LouisvilleBigDeals.com. 50% off everything. Go check that out. It's pretty sweet. Moving on to some news now. Some real news.
Some actual legitimate sports-related Kentucky focus.
What we do, what the Bluegrass Breakdown does best. And if you want to call in, and if you're pissed off at Sandusky, because I know everybody is. If you're not, you got an issue. Call us. Give us a call and talk about it. It's 502-265-5211. Or you can shoot us a quick text. We'll read it off while we're on air till 8 o'clock tonight. That number is 502-265-6159. So again, give us a call or shoot us a text. We'll love to hear from all the UK UofL fans, Moorhead fans, Pikeville fans, Bowman fans out there.
Definitely. Give us a call or shoot us a text, 502-265-6159. I don't care if your text is, I'd prefer it's not, but, if it's just, maybe a little profanity angled at Matt. I don't care. No sweat off my neck.
Yeah. He'll be reading them all, so, and then we don't moderate them, just bring them in. Shoot what you got.
Louisville signed a great prospect, Terry Rozier, the MVP of the LeBron James Skills Academy. A 3-star prospect, so the guys to my right will say he's no good. But let me remind you, Kyle Kirk was a 3-star prospect. Terrence Williams was a 3-star prospect.
Okay. I've never said he's not good.
Well, then what have you indicated?
Let me tell you. Do you, as Rick Pitino, one of the best, if not the best coaches in college basketball, he's in the top realm, bringing in 3-stars, like you just said, Terrence Williams 3-star, Kyle Kirk 3-star, Terry Rozier 3-star. Is that what Louisville basketball is accepting? Like 3 stars? Don't you want the best of the best, or not even maybe the best of the best, but at least a 5-star? Are you okay with these 3 stars? Are you? Yes, we got a 3-star.
If it's a good-looking prospect like he is, then I'm very excited about it. He really wants to be here.
6'1", 170. Mm-hmm. And he's typical. He's point guard size, but I don't a 3-star. I guess I'm a little involved with the UK and all we've been doing the past couple of years. The best of the best. But even when it was Tubby Smith, I'm not even going to talk about Billy Gillespie era. It was worthless. If he brought a 3-star in, I hated it. Like Bobby Perry. Why bring 3-stars in? You're Kentucky.
You need some depth, and you need guys who are willing to get out there
4 stars are depth
and bust their ass and play defense. And if you
he won't play for 3 years. You know this. He definitely won't play from day one.
Peyton Siva didn't play from day one.
Peyton Siva's been on court since he's a freshman. Peyton Siva's a 5-star.
Peyton Siva was a 4-star. McDonald's All-American, a 4-star.
I count McDonald's All-American a 5-star.
Okay, and then you're spitting in the face of the star system.
I am. The star system's jacked. I've seen a lot of top talent in their minds. Like who's the guy that committed to Louisville a few years back? He played in the NBA for the Pistons.
Amir Johnson.
He was a bust.
Yeah. Other than the fact that he's making
who cares if you make
$1 million a year?
$500 to $2 million a year. Who cares?
If you're playing in the NBA, you are not a bust.
That's why they're going through
this. That's what they all want to do. Is they want to make it.
They realize they've been paying way too many worthless athletes way too much money.
They have. But if you are going to play at University of Kentucky or Louisville, your goal is to eventually play in the NBA. I don't care if you play a 1-day contract or 10. I think the minimum is a 10-day contract. Or if you play for multiple years like Amir Johnson is doing, then you are a very successful basketball player. And there's no way around it. I don't care if you ride the bench.
I'm not saying
I know a guy who had a 10-day contract who played for Louisville. And when I see him and I see somebody else, I'm like, hey, he played in the NBA. And they're like, shit, man, that's awesome. 10-day contract is nice.
He's good.
He's played for multiple years. That's very successful.
He's obviously a good player. But you know what I'm saying? He shouldn't have been a 5-star straight out of high school. He shouldn't have been.
He's in the NBA.
Well, that's fine. Congratulations. They're in the NBA. So there's a lot of people who in the NBA and they do nothing. Yeah, they're getting paid. Not now, obviously, with the lockout.
Who cares if they do nothing?
I would sit the bench and do nothing too. But it's just, I like
your goal
I like
is to get in the NBA and to stay in the NBA.
Get paid. It's to get paid.
It would be for me, would it not for you?
No, I just said it. It's to get paid. But I'm saying in a basketball standpoint and not money standpoint, I don't. 3-stars suck. I don't want any 3-stars on UK.
Okay. Well.
Serious. And speaking of that, we don't sign 3-stars, Matt. Who did we sign today? I think it was a 5-star. Alex Poitras. Yep. A great commitment for UK. I think there was a video, a live feed of his commitment earlier. It was the worst feed ever. Somebody down in Memphis, but granted, there's probably thousands of people on there, slowed it down. But we picked up the video on YouTube. I think Matt has it to let everybody listen to his commitment. It's a short little video. Here it is for everybody.
He definitely looks like a stud.
Next year, I think I'm going to the University of Kentucky.
That's good. There it is. University of Kentucky. He did stand there for like a minute or so, just kind of making anticipation blow up. I was watching the choppiness of the video, but he chose Kentucky over Florida, Vanderbilt, and home state. Supposedly the favorite over the past week or so, Memphis. But he did say after he commitment that he's known he was going to go to UK for about a week now. So everybody that thinks they know or thinks they're in the know, you're not. And it's a great pickup. He's a 5-star. He's number 17 for the 2012 class.
Great pickup.
Small forward. And he joins Archie Goodwin. He's committed yet to sign. He will be signing soon. The top shooting guard for 2012. He also joins Ryan Harrell, transferred in from North Carolina State. He's on the roster now, so he'll be able to play with these guys. And, of course, 7-footer Willie Cauley, who signed the dot and committed a week or so ago.
Brings us to our next point here. What are the chances UK gets the 4th year consecutive of the number 1 overall, ranked according to your beautiful, precious stars, number 1 ranked class in the country?
I don't see why they don't have a shot. They're already, according to Scout, been bumped up to number 2. I believe they're behind Indiana at one spot. They have Cody Zeller and a few other top guys. They have a good Tom Crean has a good little class there, but Kentucky's got a couple guys and a couple spots still open. That's the thing.
Shabazz Muhammad hasn't committed yet.
Shabazz Muhammad has not committed yet. He loves Kentucky. He's always tweeting about him. He loves Coach Cal. He said to the commitment of today, he goes, yeah, out of all the coaches, Cal Party's obviously standing out the most. So, that's always nice to hear. There's also a guy who will be committing, I'm not sure their date, in a few days, Millie Jefferson. He's one of the top guys. He's been known, I think it was Syracuse that was kind of pushing at him, not 100%, maybe UConn, but he's supposed to have UK up there. If they get both those guys, either one of those, it's number 1. Get both of them, it's another. Is this a better class than last year? Type of conversation. But with this class with Davis and them, it was unbelievable, like 1-7-14. But it will be the number 1 class in my opinion.
I guess Gary Harris committed to Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State yesterday. Which his mom said he wasn't even going to commit, and then he went ahead and tweeted out going to state. So, and then signed the dotted line. I don't really care.
All he said was, "I'm going to state."
Well, I mean, he that was how he released it.
Maybe he meant something else, like Indiana State.
Maybe Penn State.
They're
recruiting well there.
You never know.
But yeah, he went on there, which no problem. He was looking at the roster. You got Harrell already. He probably knew Goodwin was already there. Maybe he knew Poitras, who's a 6'8" small forward, kind of can play both. He just maybe knows something. Calipari kind of let off him. Maybe Shabazz is coming. That's the way I see it, but that's always nice.
I've heard that Shabazz may be a UCLA lean.
That's what I've heard too. But then again, like we just said with this guy, everybody thought for the past week or so that Memphis is a lock for Poitras, and he said for the past week he's known as UK.
What could really impact Kentucky's, I'm even hesitant to say this, their momentum, is if they do incorporate that 2-year rule. Because then all of a sudden you could just have a logjam of all the best players.
That'd be awesome.
It would be awesome for Kentucky, but it would minimize the amount of – because these guys all want to play.
Yeah, it's fine though, but –
And the fact that Terrence Jones and
Dornlam. Think about it, though.
Lamb came back. That has to affect a little bit the guys who are playing, coming in
It
this
shows
year.
it actually helps, in my opinion. People are always like, oh, all Calipari does is get these guys that they're in and they're out, they're in and they're out. Now that you got, hey, I'm a top player and I could come back for one more year. Why not? It could always benefit me. Same with Harrison Barnes at North Carolina, Jared Solinger at Ohio State. The top guys, maybe it's past the past 10 years where it's I gotta go now. Maybe it's I kind of want to enjoy a year or two of college. And this isn't just Kentucky; it's for everywhere. The top players could start be thinking a little different. In my opinion, I think one of these guys on Kentucky will come back this year.
One of the four
freshmen. I'm
Wiltshire
sure will
I'm
definitely
sure
be there. Wiltshire will definitely be there. I will say one of the three freshmen.
I bet Marcus Teague.
I think Teague will stay. He doesn't need money, obviously. His brother is loaded. But I think Gilchrist or Davis will stay.
I can see that.
I really do.
I wouldn't think if someone's projected to be the number one overall pick that they would stay. That would be stupid.
It'd be tough but why not?
It's happened
You're going to be
before.
projected to number one pick next year. Jared Solinger, projected number one pick, just came back.
True. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Regardless, the depth that Kentucky has on their team now, with, like I said, Lamb and Jones coming back, I mean, they're going to be ridiculous this year. And it doesn't look to be slowing down, being that, like you said, at least a couple of these guys from this freshman class of 4 will be back for next year. We're going to be back with some more from the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show.
Stop it.
In just a few minutes.
Why don't you tell who we're going to have coming back, though?
We are going to have
Radio
Ron.
Ron Chilton.
If anybody doesn't know Radio Ron, he was on Kentucky Sports TV's casting calls. That's how he first came out. And he blew up. He was my favorite. I think he was a fan favorite. He's won how many gold medals for the Senior Olympics?
Well, at this last Senior Olympics, he won. I think he participated in 12 events and won all 12 in gold
in like 6 hours.
Yeah, and that's a feat in itself. But at his age, and to be able to do those kind of things is pretty remarkable. And he's here to share his stories with us. We're going to get him on the line when we come back.
Yeah, we're going to get him. We're also going to have Louisville Cardinal guy on 1450 a.m. Rob Jones. We'll be right back with the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show. Welcome back to the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show. We've had a good little start to tonight, talking a little bit of the Joe Paterno situation in Penn State. Everybody knows that we don't need to get into that again. But we got somebody on the line, somebody special tonight. A senior Olympic gold medalist and a great radio personality, Radio Ron Chilton. Ron, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you? Now, which one is this, Tyler or Kelly?
This is Tyler right now. Kelly's kind of got scared. He gets scared of talking to live people.
Oh, come on. I don't believe that for a minute. Yeah, I'm doing fine, Tyler. I'm glad to be on. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And you said he was a gold medalist in the Senior Olympics, but you didn't actually allude to exactly what he has done in that realm. Ron, do you mind sharing what your least recent feat was in the Senior Olympics?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. My wife claims that I brag about it every chance I get. I started about 15 years ago. I'll quickly just give you a little background. 15 years ago, and I decided that I was not going to sit around on the front porch and rust out or collect stamps or watercolors. I was going to enter track and field. So I finally settled on 15 events: 100, 200, 400, 800, 1,500 meters, shot put, discus, javelin, high jump, long jump, triple jump, and 1,500-meter race walk. Wow. I entered all of these events in the most recent Kentucky State Olympic Games in Murray, and in the afternoon I took home 12 gold medals, gold in every single one of them. And that was within a 5 or a 6 hour period from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I feel really good about that.
That is amazing.
Of course, you have to remember that they are, the competition are held in age groups. So I would be in the 75 to 79 age group, since I have just turned 76 years young.
Wow. Now I'm looking at your Facebook, Ron, and I would guess that you might be 50. I think you might be scamming the Senior Olympics.
You know, that's one of the great things about keeping in shape. You know, not only do you ward off of the chronic diseases that we all are prone to in my age category, but you have better balance. I think that certainly you look better, you feel better, and you just have an excellent lifestyle. And so I look forward each year to entering local, regional, state games, and even national events.
So your plan is to do it again this year, right? You're going to Bluegrass?
Yeah, I certainly will. I'll be out there. I usually run about 2 miles each day. Get up in the morning, run a mile, and then in the afternoon I go to the gym and work out about 4 or 5 times a week with weights. And it's just a lifestyle that I am now very comfortable with, and that goes along with a proper diet. And I speak to some senior groups and tell them, hey, you know, if I'm 76 years old, and if I look 20 years younger, I feel 20 years younger. Believe me, you can do it too.
That's amazing. I mean, have you thought about maybe, being such a positive influence and such a positive person, have you even maybe thought about writing a book about it?
Yes, I have indeed. Because, as you know, the motivational speaker circuit can be quite lucrative. And even though I'm working part-time at Sullivan College of Technology and Design, I wouldn't mind going full-time on the motivational speaker circuit. And usually you have to have a book or something out there, you know, to attract people. So that's not out of the question. There is a movie out about me. It's a DVD that was produced last year by a film company in California. But I might write that book.
What would that movie be called, Ron?
It would be called Shattering the Myth of Aging.
Wow.
It was filmed and edited a year and a half ago. So it says, you know, how can a 74-year-old man from Louisville compete in 12 events in 1 day, 6 hours, and get gold in all 12?
Yeah, I just searched it. If anybody would like to see a little trailer or maybe some other video, it's on YouTube. Your trailer's on there. It's a couple minutes long. It looks pretty cool here. Nice little film they have.
Yeah. Nice little trailer there, absolutely.
Now, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to some things around here. Kentucky today, obviously, they had their... You are a big Kentucky fan, right, Ron?
There's no doubt about it. My father started me listening to UK basketball 65 years ago.
Wow.
Now, if you guys can believe that, right? When I say 65 years, I find it even hard to believe, but we started listening to UK basketball in 1946 when the Fabulous Five was being assembled. These names won't mean much to you, but Ralph Beard, Alex Groza, Wawa Jones, Kenny Rollins, Cliff Barker, winning titles in 1948 and 49. And I just got caught up in it, and I thought, well, heck, we must win it every year. But I found out later on that wasn't the case at all. It's extremely difficult to win a national title.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kentucky does have 7 of them, that's second all time. It's good to be a Kentucky fan, as long as you have been one as well. Definitely. Jeez.
Absolutely, 65 years, and of course, you know, I've down through the years, as you know, I've had a 40-year career in radio. And was lucky enough to be on WVLK in Lexington during the mid-'60s when Rupp's Runts were going undefeated in 1966, going all the way to the championship game before they were defeated by Texas Western. But I got to know all those guys. I got to know Pat Riley and Louis Dampier and Tommy Cron and Thad Jarris. And I was living a dream, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
I even got to...
Go ahead.
I got to assist Claude Sullivan, who was announcing UK games. A lot of people don't know. They think Kaywood Ledford was the only announcer, but Claude Sullivan was every bit as good, and some people think even better.
Now, during, those times, you said that was a big time when you were on the radio. Who was your favorite Kentucky Wildcat? You know, everybody's got their favorite now. You got DeMarcus Cousins, maybe a Tayshaun Prince, a John Wall.
Sure.
Who was your favorite back in those times?
You know, Adolph Rupp used to be asked that question. By the way, I interviewed Adolph Rupp many times, and I've still got those tapes, by the way. I'm holding on to them. But, and he would never say his favorite player. And I can understand that, being the great coach he was, didn't want to make any of his other players feel, you know, somewhat less than the favorite one. But my favorite would have to be, if I had to pick one, would be Cotton Nash. Charles Cotton Nash. He had it all. He was 6'5". He played all 5 positions. He could rebound. He could drive the lane. He could dribble. He could shoot. He was fabulous. Not only that, but he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated and looked like one of these rock stars. He looked the part, but he was ever been a great athlete. He played professional baseball, professional basketball. Charles Cotton Nash would be my favorite.
That's awesome. I've always heard I did some research on the older guys, and I always saw he was a big baseball, and he may have even been better at baseball than he was at basketball.
Exactly. That's what many people have said. I didn't follow his baseball career nearly as much as his basketball career, but he was quite an athlete. But, you know, it's really hard to pick one because there have been so many, many great basketball players at UK. And if you're a fan, just like if you're a fan of UofL, you've got your own favorites.
Certainly. One of the things we were going to talk to you about is we're in the preliminary stages of organizing a race between yourself and J.R. Kaiser. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. I mean, when this was first proposed, I said, sure, let's go. And so I think it was a little before the games, and my trainer was afraid I might pull an Achilles tendon trying in a race like that, in a match race. So he suggested we put it off until the spring, but I would be all for it. I mean, you know, what we could build up some very, very interesting sidelights and build up to a crescendo of when a 76-year-old Olympic gold medalist meets a somewhat overweight, out of shape young man of 28.
Exactly.
You're giving JR the benefit of the doubt, Ron. You're too nice of a guy.
Yeah, the word largely overweight.
I would love to meet Mr. Kaiser, and we could. I'm sure, you know, as it goes on and we build up to the race, I will. I'm looking forward to it.
He's a great guy. He really is. You will enjoy meeting him, and just the whole idea really is interesting. I would think that you would win because you're in much, you know. But I don't know. I mean,
that's right. You don't really know, because what you've got to remember, and I've spoken to some physiologists about this, and even though there would be a 50-year difference, you know, a half century between the two of us, the young man might still win because of his musculature, if you will.
Sure.
My muscles are atrophying while his are still strong and supple.
Yeah, he's got a few double bacon cheeseburgers sitting down in his calves, so he'll be able to push that extra weight out of there.
But
well, if we have a first prize, you know, of maybe, let's say, $100 or so, maybe the consolation prize would be a Big Mac cheeseburger or a dozen.
That might be the prize for him if he beats you.
Then I'll have to make sure that I win the race. But it really would be interesting, because as I've just told you, that all of my competitors are within a 5-year age range of 75 to 79, and I know about what their times are in my time, so I'm wondering what Mr. Kaiser's time might be.
Now that does kind of bring up a little quick question of the times and your competitors versus yourself. Are you blowing these people out of the water, or is it, you know, or is it a boom boom finish?
No, it really is a full bloom finish. I mean, they're breathing on my shoulders. For instance, in the last 100 meters, you know how far that is, a football field, a little more. I ran it in 16.7. And the guy came in second, ran it in 17.2. The guy that came in third, got the bronze, ran it in 18.5. So you're talking about a difference of 1 second from first to second, another second to third.
Yeah, it's basically just a body length at most. So it's a good competition at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, good competition.
Now, when is the Bluegrass games? Maybe anybody listening could get out and cheer you on.
Yeah, my next event will be, and of course I train year round, but the next event will probably be the regional games here in Louisville. They're held at the UofL track, and that comes up the latter part of April and the first part of May. So I'll have all spring to train for that. The Bluegrass games usually are held in July. Then the state games are held in September, and every 2 years the national games are held in a different city. They were held in Houston last year, and then the year after next they'll be held in Cleveland.
I'm trying to look for a date that we could shoot for in 2012, tentatively, that would not upset your trainer. That wouldn't overlap too bad.
Right.
Any ideas?
Understand. I would say just as soon as it gets warm enough to make it, comfortable for everybody to come out and watch the race, which would be March or April.
Sure. March or April sounds great. We'll work on that. Ron, we do know that you're a big Kentucky basketball fan. I almost said Louisville somehow. Obviously, Kentucky's got a great program going into this year. Another great freshman class and some very talented returning players. We would like to know what your pick is as far as what their record will be this season and how the season will finish for them.
Okay. I anticipate another national championship. I got to say that as a UK fan, of course, but I don't always say that every year, although most fans perhaps think that they're going to win another championship. I think they'll lose about 4 games, but I think they'll be right there at the end. I think they'll go to the Final Four, and I think they'll win it all, simply because I believe that finally, with all 3 straight number 1 recruiting classes, and with Poitras signing today, and we've got Cawley and Goodwin, and if he gets, of course, the big prize, we'll have a number 1 recruiting class again. But with the returning players that he has, in Jones and Lamb, and of course with the Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Marcus Teague, and Kyle Wiltshire, and what I have seen so far in their exhibition games, which doesn't mean a lot, but I think that he's got it all. And so I'm really, really predicting an 8th championship. Could I have done any less?
No, I think that is exactly what myself and every other Big Blue fan wanted to hear from you, Ron. So everybody definitely is in love with that choice. And I will agree with you, not because I'm a diehard Kentucky fan, but because of the exact same points that you said. He's got it all finally, and it's a fine-tuned machine ready to go.
I think so, Tyler. We'll have to wait and see because, as you know, the great Al McGuire, the TV analyst and Marquette coach, said you got to have 3 things going. You got to be on an uptick when the NCAA championship or the Final Four comes around. You cannot have any significant injuries, and you got to be very, very lucky.
Definitely an element of luck in every championship, for sure.
Absolutely. It's a random process. 1 bad game and you're out, as we found out 2 years ago with the great Walden Cousins group, of course.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, Ron, we really appreciate you coming on. We will be updating our listeners as to when we actually get a date scheduled for the JR versus Ron, Radio Ron showdown.
Okay, all right, very good. I wanted to mention one other thing. I heard one of your shows, you had John Renshaw on. Is that right?
We did.
Yeah. Well, I used to be director of sports on 1450, the old WXVW, and Johnny Renshaw was one of the network personalities. And I used to call him with updates.
Really?
And I remember calling him for the play-by-play description of the 1996 celebration in Rupp Arena when the Cats won it all. And I said, Johnny, you should have seen that bus roll into Rupp Arena. They got off amid 24,000 cheering fans, and the Pope had the NCAA championship trophy. And Renshaw said, what are you talking about, the Pope? I said, Mark Pope got off of the bus with the championship trophy.
And that was in 96?
That was in 96, absolutely. Johnny Renshaw was on the network, and of course I was local on the call letters WXVW. We had all sports all the time, and I used to call him with, and I knew he was a big Maryland fan, you know.
Oh, that's right.
But he's a good sport, and when I told him that the Pope got off with the championship trophy, he really appreciated that.
Made him nervous.
It made him a little nervous. He thought, the Pope, I knew they were good. You know, Patino met the Pope, kissed his ring, and the Pope said, where's your ring? That was right before Patino got his ring with UK in 96.
That's a good story, Ron. Well,
great story.
I hate to cut it short. We have to go to a break here. But again,
I understand.
We really appreciate you coming on, and we will be having you back on here shortly to talk more about the race between you and JR.
And some other
Call
stuff.
me anytime.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right,
Tyler and Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron. Have a nice evening.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Radio Ron Chilton.
What a great
voice.
Great voice.
Great
just,
guest in general.
Couldn't be better, honestly.
Now, we'll go to a quick break, 30 seconds, a minute, and we'll get right back. We can talk a little bit more about UK UofL news around the area. Bluegrass Breakdown
and
radio show.
We're going to have Rob
Jones from UofL. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show. We got Rob Jones on the line from 1450 AM here in Louisville. How you doing, Rob?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing good, Rob.
Good.
Just another good show. We just had Radio Ron. I don't know if you all have ever met. We just had him on the line.
He was great.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met. I used to go by Radio Rob back in the day when I first started, but Radio Ron, I'll let him have that.
I hear that. But yeah, again, we got Rob Jones here from 1450 AM. You and Johnny Renshaw are co-hosting one of the shows, right?
Yeah, 3 to 5 p.m. we got the Freak Show with Johnny Renshaw. Me and Trevor Kelsey actually helped co-host that show and produce it. And then the afternoon Sports Buzz, I co-host that as well from 5 to 6. So we have 3 to 6 local programming, and then Dan Patrick from 9 to 12 in the morning, and then Yahoo Sports Radio the rest of the day. So we got a good thing going on. If your listeners out there want to stream it online, it's 1450thesportsbuzz.com, or you can use the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphones as well.
It's definitely some good content. I love it. I even like. Sorry.
We try to be the voice of the fan. You know, there's a lot of radio stations out there that are kind of beholden to other stuff. You know, 790, basically Cards Radio, and then you have another station that they're kind of beholden to. They don't want to piss anybody off, for lack of a better term, and we're really not afraid to do that. So it's good. We're the voice of the fan. We take a lot of callers, we get a lot of good guests. So y'all should check it out. All your listeners out there should check it out.
Definitely. And even the national stuff, the Yahoo Sports, is it Steve Zabin? I like that.
Yeah, he's really good. I really like Dan Patrick, and everybody's got their own, their preferences. And then if you got anybody out there that likes wrestling, Sean the Cablinasian comes on Yahoo Sports Radio from 1 to 3, and he talks wrestling, and he's real funny. He actually won the Jim Rome Smack Off like 6 years in a row, and they finally gave him his own radio show. So we got a lot of good programming around. We also play games of the week, high school, college, and pro football right now. And we're working on getting some college basketball as well, some national games. So just keep tuning in, and we'll have some new stuff as the weeks go on.
That's good stuff over there. Rob, you're a big-time Louisville fan, right?
Yeah, I grew up a diehard UofL fan. I try to be as unbiased as possible, but I always have that my diehard UofL fanness, I guess you'd say, in the back of my little place in my heart for it.
What do you think about the games this weekend? I know they open the season tomorrow. What are you looking forward to in particular about the first couple games this weekend?
I'm just looking to see how they integrate all the new guys. How Shane Bohannon plays with the team that's coming back, and also how these guys come back from injury. You got Peyton Siva was out with the concussion against Bellarmine. You could see how different the team is without him. Elijah Justice, God bless him, but he's no Peyton Siva, and the team just looked completely different. The pace up and down the floor was different. The way the offense ran was different. And Kyle Carrick, I think how lost he looked against Bellarmine was a product of Peyton Siva really not being in the game and being able to penetrate and draw the double team to get Carrick open for those shots, because he's one of those guys that you thought he would be able to step up, Kyle Carrick that is, step up and take kind of a leadership role on this team when Siva was out. But as was evident last week against Bellarmine, he looked kind of lost without Siva out there. So I'm glad to see Peyton Siva's back. Like to see Mike Mara play a little better than he has the last couple of years. Maybe take that next step. But just kind of seeing how Shane Bohannon interacts with the new team in games that actually matter.
Yeah, I will agree with your Carrick statements. Yeah, he did kind of look a little lost without Siva out there, but granted, Siva will be running the offense, and he is a very well-rounded point guard. So I think once he is back and fully healthy, Carrick will be doing his typical thing out on the wing, hitting the three-pointers for you guys.
Peyton Siva is the most important player on the team. A lot of people will debate that back and forth, but Peyton Siva, it was evident in the game last week against Bellarmine. I keep going back to that. If the Cards lose Peyton Siva, they're a totally different team. They could lose Shane Bohannon, they could lose Gorky Jang, they could lose Kyle Carrick to whether it's injury or foul trouble. But you lose Peyton Siva, you're in trouble if you're Louisville.
Yeah, totally. I was also, you said about Jang, you could kind of miss him. If you do miss Siva, is Russ Smith going to be the point guard that you all look forward to, take over? Because I did, in those scrimmages, he did look like he could, help you guys out. He looked like he knew the offense. He was scoring at will, and, I just haven't seen Russ play much.
He's got to be, I guess, right, Rob?
Yeah, I guess I kind of, if you want to run kind of a conservative offense, you go with Elijah Justice. If you want to run up and down the court and shoot the ball a lot and kind of play that fast-paced Patino style of basketball that he's developed over the last couple of years, you go with Russ Smith and Chris Smith in the backcourt, and they share ball handling duties is what I would think they would do. Because Russ Smith, he's great when it comes to scoring the ball. He's a machine gun out there. He never met a shot he didn't like. But I want to see how he handles pressure. And that was a big problem with Siva last year, especially in the Kentucky game. You pressure him up at past half court, and he had a little bit of trouble handling the ball. I think Russ Smith might be the same kind of way. He might have trouble, when it's in a half court setting. Yeah, he's great. He can put up shots and shoot at a high percentage, and he's fun to watch. But when you start getting into the Big East play and you start playing teams like Vandy and Memphis that put a lot of pressure on your guards, that'll be interesting to see how Russ Smith handles that.
Definitely. He does seem to be one of the few guys on the team that really probably can create his own shot. But, is that really what you want out of your point guard?
Right. The point guard's job is not to create his own shot. The point guard's job is to create shots for other people. And that's something that I haven't seen Russ Smith do in his career at Louisville so far, is create shots for other people. He can create his own shot, like you said, but that's not really the job of the point guard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen him penetrate and then hit an open guy for a three like Siva does, or a lot of the other guys on the team seem to like to do. He doesn't have that mentality, and Pitino seems to have almost embraced that. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Russ Smith going into the beginning of the regular season. One of the things
I completely agree with you.
Good deal. One of the things we were talking about earlier was I was, a little bit excited. I won't say it was the most excited I've ever been about Terry Rozier. I think he looks like a good prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler here and Matt seem to think that 3-star players are worthless. You might as well not have them. How do you feel about that?
You're putting words in our mouth there.
Yeah, he
Well,
is.
you got Tyler and Matt over there. They bleed the blue. They're used to getting these top 10 draft picks every year in their recruiting classes, and that's all fine and well. I'm as a UofL guy, I'm kind of jealous of it. I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't want your Marcus Teagues or your Brandon Knights or your John Walls coming in every year, but Terry Rozier fits the mold of Pitino basketball. He had offers from Illinois, Cincinnati, West Virginia, teams that aren't too shabby. Teams that make it deep into the tournament on a regular basis, or at least West Virginia has lately. And so he beat those teams out for him. So obviously he has a little bit of talent. You got Mick Cronin, Bobby Huggins, Bruce Weber recruiting him, so obviously he has a little bit of talent. He's not going to knock your socks off and be a one and done, but if he can develop over 2 or 3 years and become the starting point guard on the team, a guy that wants to come to Louisville and not a guy that you have to force to come to Louisville. He wanted to come to Louisville. It wasn't one of those things where you were competing with a bunch of people over him. He wanted to come to Louisville. He was waiting on an offer from Louisville. So those are the type of guys, I call it the Larry O'Bannon effect, where you got guys that want to actually come to the school and have a sense of pride about getting the opportunity to play under Rick Pitino and getting the opportunity to play for Louisville. Then those guys could flourish. It might take a couple years, but unless Siva has a breakout, outstanding year, he's going to be around next year. And then you also have Kevin Ware, who's looking like he might become eligible around the middle of next month. So you got some time to develop this guy and turn him into a good player. He had a breakout camp at LeBron James Skills Academy over the summer, and he's just one of these guys you might have found a diamond in the rough. You can't always look at the 3 stars and what these national recruiting services say about guys, because look at Butler the last 2 years. They made the national title game the last 2 years with a bunch of guys that nobody wanted. So, like Shelvin Mack, for example, he probably wanted to go to UofL UK. Butler gave him the opportunity to shine. He takes him to 2 straight final games. So I wouldn't look too much into the 3-star thing. Like I said, though, John Wall, Brandon Knight, those kind of guys, those 5-star, top 10 picks, you'd love to have them, but Terry Rozier is not that bad.
Definitely. With the basketball season coming up, we are going to have to wrap things up here briefly, but with the basketball season come up, I got to see last night on the internet a little, I think WHAS made a little history kind of the UK UofL rivalry game. Did anybody get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I caught some of it. It
Rob?
was actually a very good segment.
Did you see that, Rob?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I've been told to watch it, but I haven't seen it. I've lived it. I've lived in Louisville, my whole life, so I know the ins and outs of it. But from what I've heard, Adam Lefkoe and the boys over at WHS 11 did a really good job with it, and I'm excited to watch it.
Definitely.
Well, Rob, we hate to wrap it up. We kind of went a little long with our last guest, but we'll definitely have to have you back on. Appreciate you coming on tonight.
Oh, no problem, guys. Call me anytime.
All right, man. This is Rob Jones. You have a good night.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Right. Thank you.
So again, that was Rob Jones with 1450 AM, the Sports Buzz. You can check him out from 3 to 5, I believe he said, Kelly.
3 to 5, also 5 to 6, he said.
Yeah,
so
5 to 6 he helps out.
He's in there
busy
for
man.
6. He's like Colin Coward or Jim Rome. He's on for 3 hours.
Now, we'll throw this out there real quick. If you want to give us a quick call, we'll be on the air for a few more minutes. We're going to try to get JR on the line, who's might be competing against Radio Ron in this race come spring. Give us a call if you want to talk real quick. Our call-in line is 502-265-6000. 5211, or anytime you want, shoot us a text. We'll put it on air whenever we're on every Thursday night. That number is 502-265-6159. And, of course, you can get online, check out all the Kentucky and Louisville sports news up to date that you need at KentuckySports.co, and that's KentuckySports.co. It's our website. We'll partner with the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show. Again, we got myself doing the UK, got Matt, producer, doing some UK things. We got Kelly over here, and our other correspondent, John Hancock, busting out all the Louisville stuff. So it's pretty good information on there. So again, KentuckySports.co, check it out. We'll be right. Matt, do we need a break, or you just?
We'll take a quick break.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be back about 30 seconds, and we'll try to get JR on the line. Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show.
I'm Kelly Patrick with KentuckySports.co radio show in partnership with LouisvilleSportsBuzz.com. Around here we've got Big Blue Nation, big races at the horse tracks, big rivalries. We've got big arenas with big name coaches. Being realistic, a lot of times we end up with big women. But there are some things that we prefer to be smaller, like the price we pay at local restaurants, or what it costs to play 18 holes, or to even have your hair cut. At LouisvilleBigDeals.com, you'll get a big deal and a small price to some of the best restaurants and businesses in the Louisville area. So jump online and visit LouisvilleBigDeals.com and tell them Kelly Patrick sent you.
KentuckySports.co radio show, your #1 source for sports news and information. All UK sports, UofL. At KentuckySports.co.
No, I'm not a well-decorated sea captain who battles monsters on a large nautical vessel, but thanks to Old Spice, I smell like I am. No, I don't have 14 well-oiled abs or endless gold treasures pouring from my pants.
Shh, don't tell my nose that.
Welcome back to the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show. Got some good stuff. We're going to try to get in a little bit of a JR interview. If he does not answer the phone, we are going to be forced to leave him a voicemail. Let him know about the heated words Ron said about him.
We are. It's gonna be cool. If y'all missed that segment, we had Radio Ron Chilton on earlier talking about his achievements in the Senior Olympics, and a big time UK fan. He's a radio voice back in his prime. Now
60s.
He's in the 60s, and now he's 76-year-old, winning gold medals in 6 hours.
And he wants a piece of JR.
He does, and that's what we're going to set up a race come spring between a mid-20s, largely over a heavyweight man
Not that big.
versus Radio Ron. Looks like we're going to try JR here. See if he'll answer. I wish it was like John Hancock's ringtone, the little doo 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 doo.
Kelly has the same ringtone.
Kelly, do you want to leave him a
Don't
voicemail?
anymore,
Do you want to leave him this voicemail, Kelly?
Sure.
Hello?
Hey, JR, how you doing, man? It's Kelly Patrick. You are on the air. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, man. Thanks for answering
good.
for us.
You all tricked me. Ryan said you guys weren't calling me today.
I know.
We just try to keep you off guard, JR. That's what we do.
That's fair. That's fair. I like to be kept off guard.
Hey, how you doing tonight, JR?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Tyler Boyd here, by the way. We just had Radio Ron Chilton on, and I don't know about you, Kelly, but he's fired up about this.
He is pissed off.
Uh-huh.
He is pretty certain he is going to whoop your ass. What do you think?
And he might, but I think he's a little too old to beat me. So I think my age is
now. How old are you, JR?
What's that?
How old are you? Or how young are you?
Say that one more time.
I said, how young are you?
28 years old.
28. Ron just turned 76, so we got a 50-year difference.
Yeah, he may have problems before he reaches the finish line. That's pretty old.
Now, I think, what are you guys thinking? 100, maybe like a 100-meter dash here?
Yeah, I think we're going to do like a 100-yard dash. JR, this is your best friend, Matt, And
Hey, Matthew, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. But
Good.
the main question we wanted to ask you is whether you're going to sport your beautiful United States leotard. Is what we're
I am. In fact, I'm going to be wearing it tomorrow as well. The United States soccer game playing, so I have to wear it.
Nice.
But I will be donning my American flag unitard.
Do us a favor and post some pictures of tomorrow on Facebook so that we can promote them on the show for future promotions. So what we're going to do is we're going to.
There's some pictures on there already from my one. In fact, it's the exact same outfit that I got banned from Soldier Field while wearing.
Tell us about that. Is that okay?
The problem with Chicago is that you're allowed to drink on their subways. So I went to visit not a subway, the train or whatever. But I visited a friend and I started drinking early that day, and it ended in me trying to rush the field after the United States Poland soccer game last year. The problem was that I was the only one that had that idea, so security outnumbered 2-1, and I got put in the drunk tank for a while, and I was wearing my American flag unitard and only my American flag unitard, and the officers kept bringing in other people to come look at the idiot in the cell here.
How drunk were you?
I drank a whole fifth, the captain leading up to the game. I was
awesome.
Fairly intoxicated.
That is great. I've been kicked out of a Reds game for being overly intoxicated, but I did not get thrown into the cellar with a unitard on, thank God.
I got kicked out of an Ohio Valley wrestling match for being too intoxicated.
I guess I'm outnumbered here. I've never got kicked out of it.
Boo!
You're the alcoholic of the group, too.
Whatever.
Well, JR, sorry we had to kind of just call you out of the blue there. We got to end the show, but again, we're going to get you and Ron in this race come spring if you're in.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to take that old effer out.
All right, well, we'll be in touch here, JR. Thanks a whole ton for coming on.
Hey, you're welcome. You got to take care.
Have a good one, man. See you.
Now, Kelly, that is going to be one hell of a race.
JR really thinks he'll beat him.
He does. He's confident. Ron, I know Ron's listening out there. Ron, he's 100% he's going to beat you, so we might have to have you back on
Ron didn't
soon.
know.
You also put words in Ron's mouth. He didn't say he was going to demolish.
I know.
Yeah, and
but Kelly
I
told me
put
to.
words in his mouth, too.
Ron
wasn't pissed.
Ron was very cordial of this, actually. We just wanted to rile up
He didn't say he
JR.
was going to beat him, but he did.
Now, I know we got to wrap it up.
Hopefully that story about him drinking a fifth didn't scare Ron off.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to bring security for Ron now. But
he's the sweetest guy, Ron. I promise. He really is.
Before we do close it out, I just want to mention, since we had a couple guests that kind of went on, which is no problem with us. We would rather talk to people about sports than, have you guys just listen to us. But UK and Louisville both won their football games last Saturday. Kentucky beat Ole Miss 30-13, while Louisville beat West Virginia 38-35. Louisville, that game was in Louisville's the whole time. It was the score kind of, doesn't do it justice for that game.
Huge win.
Huge win for both teams. And for Kentucky on that point, they had Maxwell Smith start his first game he's a gray shirt freshman, never sees the field. He was SEC Freshman of the Week. He had almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. A hell of a game by the young kid. He will be starting this week against Vandy. Maybe, both these teams now have an opportunity to make a bowl game, which is, who would have thought that like 3-4 weeks ago? None of us. So that's always positive. Terrence Jones was named ESPN All-American. He's now first team. He's been on the AP and ESPN. Everybody knows he's a beast and a force to be reckoned with for the Cats. But what kind of surprised me was Anthony Davis was not even on the second teams at all, considering he's been an AP. AP had him on the second team. He's obviously consensus SEC All-American. But even I don't know. What do you think?
It's hard for me to tell, but based on what I've seen and have heard about Anthony Davis, that he's going to be a complete beast.
Maybe
he deserves to be on the.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that they maybe pulled the Harrison Barnes effect and kind of strayed away from the freshman.
Yeah, they've definitely, you can fall into that trap where you get a little bit overhyped for incoming freshmen, like Harrison Barnes, who is a stud and proved it late in the year. So maybe you do back off a little bit from overhyping any freshman. I mean, where's Austin Rivers? Is he on these lists?
He was not on. Actually, I don't believe he was on the first, or he might have been on the second team. I don't remember.
He's supposedly close to being as heralded of a prospect as Anthony Davis. I believe.
He was the number one recruit. Supposedly he's the man. I absolutely hate Rivers. I don't even want to talk about him. But on the other side of Max Smith being freshman of the week for the SEC, rivals named your all's man Teddy Bridgewater freshman of the week.
Yep.
So a bunch of good for the future of both football programs. It seems to be UK had a lot of young talent show what they could do this past weekend. Kevin Ware, as Rob said, he looks like he will be finally be able to join the team here in about a month. Thank God for the Cards. They need it with the Blackshear up in the air. Nobody really knows what's going on with him. Could it be season? Could it be 6 weeks? Guess we'll find out. Louisville beat up on Bellarmine. We've talked about that. 62-54 with a bunch of Louisville basically played with their second team, considering Siva, Buckles, and all of them weren't out. They were all out. So don't really look at that as a judging Louisville kind of game, in my opinion.
Certainly.
Do you have anything else?
Nothing else other than it is a good week because no matter how small, both the Louisville and Kentucky football programs are on at least a little bit of an uptick. So that's a good week.
Yeah, exactly.
As we round into basketball season.
Real quick, season starts tomorrow for UK and UofL. Louisville plays Tennessee Martin, I believe. Kentucky plays Marist. Obviously, both we're going to skip those WWW. What do you think Louisville's record will be?
I bet they'll lose 8 games.
8 games. So 32-8. If they went to they have 30 games, so 22-8.
Yeah, if they play exactly.
That's a good record. That's
my guess. It's a grueling Big East schedule. At least for this last year, it'll be as tough as they get.
I will say Louisville loses 9 games, 21-9. 22-8. They'll be a 6th seed, I believe, come that time.
Okay.
Write that down so we remember that. Kentucky, I believe they were going to lose. I don't even want to say 3 games. I'm going to say 2 games, and they will win a national championship.
But one of those losses will be against Louisville.
No, it will not. If they
heard it right here.
If they lose, it'll be at home. Yes, I said at home to North Carolina, and it'll be on the road to Vanderbilt.
What about Kansas?
No, Kansas has no shot. They're depleted. They might not be ranked come season's end. But so I'll go ahead and mark that down. 2 losses. Make it if you wanted me to say JJ style undefeated, but I can't. So I'll go 2 losses for the Cats this upcoming year. So turn it on tomorrow. We got basketball starting 7 o'clock for both teams. You all at 7?
Yep.
Okay, so basketball's here. I know we're happy and you guys are happy. It was a good show.
Great show. Very good show.
Great show. We had Rob Jones and Ron Chilton. Thank those guys again.
And JR. I love you, JR.
And JR. We kind of just jumped at him. You catch us next Thursday. We'll be talking about UK and UofL. Season will be on the way. This is the Bluegrass Breakdown Radio Show. Y'all have a good night. Kind of just went under.